Ladies and gentlemen, January 16th, wildcard round is done. Cowboys, the only home team to lose in the wildcard round in grandioso fashion. Me and my guy Dom's here. It's time to talk about it, hash it out fan wise. Man, y'all know the drill. Hit the likes, hit the subs, share it out. We got time today. A lot of Cowboys players been out here on Twitter the last 2 days. They got time today.
My
You
lord.
understand why? We got time today. Let's go. Here we are, man. Let me take a look here. My guy Cuts by Jones. Fred Jones in the building, man. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Big Lou in the building with the big yo. What's good? What's good? What's good? I know it's off kilter. We're not on a Friday. It's absolutely unequivocally a Tuesday. But things have changed in Cowboys land. Things have changed. Big Moody, Texas in the building. I see it. Things have changed in Cowboys land. Before we get going, as we're letting this thing build up a little bit, I deal with some ice. Couldn't go to work the last 2 days. I've been out and about, but I mean, it's been a
Mm.
little chilly, my way here in the greater scope of 903. Dom, how we doing on your side, man?
Man, same thing. We were able to get a little bit of snow yesterday, quickly melted today. All the kids in this area got a 2 hour delay. So started at
Mm.
9 o'clock for us elementary folks. So it's been nice. A little bit of a migraine. I think it's still the hangover from watching the Cowboys put up that dud the other day. So multi-day migraine, but it's starting to subside. So other than that, man, doing well. Ready to jump into this talk about the team. Three big
Right.
topics that everybody else is discussing, but we want to
Ooh.
put our own spin on it.
Yeah, no offense or buts about it. Yeah, we're a little bit further north than you, a little bit more icy situations. It is what it is. Hey,
Wow.
man, hey, either you win it or you lose, and hey, we lost. It is what it is. Um, yeah. I mean, it's intriguing times here, right?
Right.
It's intriguing times here. With a team that has been 12-5 for 3 straight years, right? Unfortunately, what we have to kind of talk about in this realm is two out of the three, you were 12. Well, 12-5 throughout the three, but two out of the three, you've won the division. You hosted a wild card round, and in both times, both years, you were the only team to lose at home. Mm, sticks in the gall. Sticks
Isn't
in the
it
gall.
isn't it something like every time Dallas seems to lose in these
Mm,
big games, namely the playoffs, we
mm,
do it in historic fashion. Things that have
mm.
never been done before, things that have never
Yeah,
happened to the franchise or any other 31 other franchises seems to
right.
happen to the Cowboys. Players
Yeah,
that, they ho hum, do okay, end up having career days. Like it just seems to follow this team where when we're good, we're great. When we're bad, we stink. And so it just happens to be each time they lay duds in the playoffs.
mm.
Never
Yeah.
seen.
And here's the thing, right? So it's like, well, it was San Francisco. You got to get over the hump. San Francisco, wild card round 2 years ago, divisional round last year. Get over that, and then you position yourself this year to go 12-5. Get the number two seed, which means you have the number seven seed coming into the building, the 9-8 Green Bay Packers, and didn't just didn't just come in and win a game. We got packed up. It was 41-16 going to the fourth quarter. And by the way, now the Green Bay Packers, I believe they own AT&T Stadium. They're now
Mhm.
6-0 there. So Aaron Rodgers be damned. Jordan Love has some ownership stock in that too, for what it is. But it hit different. And for me, let me be very clear here. And for those that are there long term on the channel or follow me long term on Twitter/X now or in those spaces, I've been a very big proponent of Mike McCarthy throughout their tenure since he's
Right.
arrived here. And that's the type of loss in the playoffs
Mm,
that ultimately can cost you your job. I'll put a pin on McCarthy for a second because obviously Randy Dakota Prescott is the quarterback. It comes with, well, I don't have to start on you. I got the old school. I didn't bring that old school out. No, let me do it this way. Right, it comes with a star. Um, he's a lightning bolt, right? The lightning rod, if you will, I should say, not lightning bolt, lightning rod. Um, so 30 now, going to be 31, and his contract says, hey, last year 60 million against that. Need to extend to free up some money, or do you find a way to be creative to move? You look at his last four playoff games: San Francisco, wild card L, go beat Tampa last year in the wild card round handedly, by the way, and then you go out to San Francisco indifferent, and then this game. So a lot of Cowboys Nation, Dom, are lack of better term, fed up, I guess, from the results. And when you're fed up with the results, number one guy gets the blame. So here is Rain Dakota Prescott coming off of quite possibly, well, I can't even say quite possibly, unequivocally, his best year as a professional. Second team All Pro, led the league in touchdown passes with 36, less than 10 interceptions at 9. Some people within Cowboys Nation want to move on. So let's start there. Let's start with Dak Prescott. Where do you land, Dom, when we talk about Dak Prescott and how this team should move forward? Don't worry, Blanco. We'll get to the defensive stuff.
you know what? I want to be very clear. We're not here to coddle a Dak Prescott.
Oh no.
We're not here to, you know, protect him from his fair share of blame because he has his fair share of the blame.
Mm,
Two turnovers that directly resulted in Cowboys either having points taken off the board or for them to get points put on the board for them. So, I mean, he's got his fair share of the blame. So I'm not going to then even spin it and go, but however, no, first,
mm,
let's land it on him. What's his performance? What it needed to be? Absolutely not. From the very beginning, things looked off. Even the telecast, guys on the telecast kept mentioning that, like, something just doesn't feel right, doesn't seem right. So, yes, Dak
mm,
should have his fair share of the blame on what happened against the Green Bay Packers. But then whenever I look at it, like all decisions that should be made, if you're a wise man, is never make any big time decisions that will alter anything whenever you're, highly upset, when you're in your feels, when you're very emotional. So to step back from that game for a couple of days and to really look at the big picture, the Dallas Cowboys moving forward from that 3,000-foot view, and then we can start to zoom in a little bit. I still feel as if Dak Prescott is the quarterback that you need to give that rock to trust to help lead this team to hopefully what you would want to see is a Super Bowl. And I think he has the tools. I think he has the ability to be able to get them there. He's definitely got the leadership qualities and all the intangibles that come along with. Um, but looking at it contractually, I know you probably want to get into that part. Um, of course, they're going to have to keep him, but I think it's going to be a 3-year window.
mhm,
And it's not only just a 3-year window because of the contract situation. And I'll let you address that. But it's a 3-year window because also we're talking about he's now hitting that prime part of the cerebral part of a guy's career. He's left the physical side of his prime athleticism, but he's entered into that realm where cerebrally he should have it all, and still he has enough of the physical part of the game to be able to push them through. So I think right now you got about a 3-year stretch where you still are going to have to rely on Dak Prescott to be the leading quarterback of this franchise.
mm. Let me let me address a guy. Hey, everybody on Facebook, real quick. Everybody on Facebook. I see the Facebook comments. Appreciate y'all. Very easy. Click over on YouTube, Pick Six Sports, and come over, hit that sub, and jump over here. We'll still see your comments and get you up. Take the gear off. All those regular season wins for what? I mean, you're an Eagles fan. 2 out of the last 3 years, since I talked about us, 2 out of the last 3 years, y'all got eliminated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round. Meanwhile, we showed up and beat Tom Brady in the wild card round. If we're being honest, right? Let's be clear. And then let me get back to this one real quick. It's been since '96 eliminated, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Mm.
Last time I checked, that gives y'all almost 30 years, and you're still down by 4. So I mean, it's cool. Run your victory lap. What's crazy is y'all got housed by Baker Mayfield that scored 9 points. Tony Romo's number, Mr. Turpin's number, if you will. You put up 9 against Tampa. You got housed. You got dog walked. But here you are in a Cowboy content space talking about us. Worry about your head coach and what y'all doing with Mr. Sirianni. How about that, good sir? I bid you adieu now. Um,
Of all times, with the trolling that goes on between the two fan bases, neither fan base got anything to stand on right now. This is the perfect
oh,
time for you to go in the corner and cry.
hey, and by the way, TC, that's a lie. They didn't watch well. They started 10-1. They ended up 11-7. Okay, all right, okay. Neither here nor there. Yeah. So, is there a way to get? Look, we talk about it all the time. If you want to make a move, even with the trade clause and all these things that's built into Dak Prescott's contract, if they want to move on from Dak, there's a way to do it. There is a way to do it. I'm not saying you should, but let's address the side because there's a large contingency of Cowboys fans that are ready, they're done, they want to flush it. Man, I had people tell me, simply put, just cut him, just move on, or let him play on 60 million for 1 year, move on. Man, let's stop. Let's stop real quick. It doesn't really matter how you feel about Mr. Prescott, personally. Doesn't matter. He led the league in touchdown passes and had less than 10 interceptions. Now, if you're a Cowboys fan that says you should just out and out cut him, June 1st cut, real quick, through the history of the NFL, tell me who the hell cuts a second team All Pro, AP voted, second team All Pro quarterback who led the league in touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, and you just cut him to move on. Tell me who does that. So check yourself at the door and your feelings and how you feel. Now, if you want to move on from him, I'll buy that. I've always bought that. It's about the star over everything for me. Give me the proper plan. The proper plan, simply put, is Dak Prescott's worth at least 2 first round picks on the open market. That's what it is. So if you want to move on from Dak, don't tell me cut him. Don't tell me let him play out his last year on 60 million. Go get me 2 first round picks and then some. That's the move. Me personally, I'm extending and I move forward. We'll talk about the extension in just a second. We'll talk about the extension because I think there's some caveats in that extension, Dom. We'll have that conversation. But this idea, like, I want Cowboys Nation, the fan base in general, and the interacts all the time. Let's be very clear. Stop saying stuff, and I'm gonna say this. And look, this is harsh. This is love, though. This is love when I say this. Your guy Nick's saying, "I love y'all." Stop saying dumb shit. Stop. Stop saying dumb shit about cutting a second team All Pro quarterback that led the league in touchdown passes, and you just want to cut him. Stop. That is foolish. If you're saying that, that means you absolutely love the 5th round pick you got from Amari Cooper. It's actually worse than that. It's the same thing. If you want to cut Dak Prescott, then dadgummit, you better hug and love that 5th round pick you got from Amari Cooper. then stop playing with me. Like, let's not do that, okay? So again, if you want to move on from that, there's a plan that you can do it. There is a way, but be honest about the way and get out your feelings. That's my point.
Right.
Get out of your feelings. Get you the two first round picks and whatever else may come with that. That's number one. Okay. Trey Lance isn't the answer. You got to add somebody. I did a mock draft today. At 24, I got you, Bo Nix. Hello, Bo Nix. Hey, my third cousin. My third cousin. It can't be just get off of Dak and ride with Trey Lance. You got to add to the room because his coach, and by the way, who's the coach of Green Bay, real quick? Dom, who's the coach of Green Bay?
Matt LaFleur.
What? He got some ties to Shanahan.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And Trey Lance, they traded up that Shanahan, right? Couldn't do it with Shanahan offense and over here to get a step this year. And that's who you want to ride with next year? Come on, man. We got to be honest as a fan base in the NFL football. Like, let's be real. If you want to move on, go out here, get the draft picks, make it work however you got to work. But it can't be just Trey Lance. 24 and get your Bo Nix. If y'all are good with Trey Lance and Bo Nix bailing it out, say less. But don't give me cut him or let him play on 60 million. Because playing on 60 million is detrimental to anything else that you want to do, Don.
Yeah, there's no way to contractually make that work as far as cutting them eating 60 million just to say, well, we got Trey Lance for 5 million, even doing a June 1 cut. That none of that really makes sense money wise. So I don't even want to entertain the little well eaten. It just ain't gonna work. So Dak Prescott is going to be the Cowboys quarterback next year or this year, 2024 and beyond. So you actually want to see that extension happen so they can alleviate the 16 million that they're in a deficit in so far. So they can add to the cap space to be able to make some things happen in free agency. You want that extension. But yeah, I go back to Dak Prescott still having the ability to take the Cowboys where you need them to go. But he has proven, the proof is in the pudding, that he's going to need some help. And not just help from a player standpoint. He's going to need some help from the X's and O's standpoint, the kind of scheme that is going to be required to be able to help him as a quarterback protect himself from himself in some cases, but also to be able to schematically be advantageous from week after week to be able to alter the plan, to be able to put the whole team in a position of success. Because right now, the kind of schemes that he's been dealing with have been mediocre at best his entire career, or whenever it's been good, the second that people figure it out, it's completely stagnant. And we know that somehow, some way, this Shanahan tree of the main six, they have figured out exactly what Dallas does. And so you got to get over that hump. And unfortunately, it even going back to the Garrett era, it seems like these head coaches, these players from the opposing teams, whenever they come out and share how they beat Dallas, it seems like Dallas is very predictable. It seems like their offense really doesn't cause any heartburn for any of these defensive coordinators from a schematic standpoint. But they will talk lofty and high of our players. You know, you're worried about a CD Lamb. That was Green Bay's whole fan base and content creators and people in their media. They just didn't know, how are you going to stop CD Lamb? We have nobody to stop him. Even their main cornerback, they didn't feel like could stop him. So we got the guys, but schematically, nobody fears the Dallas Cowboys. So my thing about it next is, you know, Dak is unquestionably a good to great quarterback. His performances throughout his last 8 years have shown us that he's a good to great quarterback. When you look at his statistics and stack it up to every single quarterback in the history of the game that has ever played it, at this point in his career, There's many who fall off the wayside within their first contract, their rookie contract, don't even make it to a second contract. Then you look at their performances for those who do make it to a second contract, they still pale in comparison to what he's been able to do, far as wins, far as statistics, but even the eyeball test that some people like to go off of. But again, his limitations are he's now out of his physical prime. But the good thing is he's more in that mental prime. The other limitation is in big time games, mainly the playoffs, because he doesn't have this natural elite ability physically, it's hampering him because he just can't overcome a faulty game plan. So we know he's a good to great quarterback. He's worked through the adversity. We see the green team last night, what they put up. We said all last year, whenever he was making his all pro in his third year, hey, what adversity has he gone through? Just see if he can piece together multiple seasons where he can be consistently good. Everything was at his disposal last year. A great offensive line, great weapons, great coaching. But as soon as that coaching left, and he took all the imagination with him, and now you dealing with subpar guys who are being the OC there in Philadelphia, you see a lot of the problems. And he still got a great offensive line. So how can you work through that adversity? Dak has done that. How do you work through injury? Dak has done that. How do you work through mediocre offensive coaching and scheming? Dak has done that. What about even when all your weapons around you aren't that great? Remember, he played in the season where what? Allen Hurns, Deontay Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
Terrence
Cole
Williams,
Beasley. Yeah.
Cole Beasley, older version Cole Beasley. Cole was his best receiver that year. And then you had what, a rookie Michael Gallup. We saw what that looked like. So he hadn't always had perfect conditions, but yet you know you're going to be able to win double digit games when Dak is your quarterback. So how do you
Right.
really get over the hump? You're going to have a consistent offensive scheme that's got some
Mm-hmm.
imagination, innovation, whatever word you want to use to it, that's going to put them in a position to win from week to week. None of this stagnant stuff, none of this stuff where you talk about lack of a counterpunch whenever they've figured you out in game adjustments. You gotta bring that to the table in order for Dak to be able to overcome their shortcomings as an organization on offense.
Yeah. And TC said he has no trade clause. Pause. Neither did Russ Wilson. The trade clause is there, but you can make it work if they wanted to move on. I'm just saying, in general, if they wanted to move on, you can make the no trade clause thing work. No ifs or buts about it. I think for me though, I think it's advantageous for the Cowboys to extend that. Absolutely, that's where I land. That's what they should do. Is this your top five quarterback? Numbers don't lie. At the worst, he's a top 10 quarterback. But it goes back to simply put, man, there's Aaron Rodgers, there's Patrick Mahomes, and guys, just what it is. And even going into Josh Allen, they literally had to change offensive coordinators and limit some things he was doing to get him to be the best. They had to prune what was going on offensively to get him in a lane. Again, there's Patrick Mahomes and then everybody else.
Right.
But everybody else, including Patrick Mahomes, you gotta have players around him. Guess
Mhm.
what? They run out here and say, well, Patrick Mahomes wide receivers had the most drops this year. 39. Guess who's number two in the league with drops?
Mhm.
Dak Prescott with 38. So, like, there's indifferent things that they don't give you surface level. We're going to give you under the surface a little bit and how it works. So, to me, I think absolutely you extend Dak. However, though, Dom, I said I had a caveat over here. I did have a caveat. We've talked about this a little bit throughout the season. Yesterday's price is not today's
Mm,
price.
true.
We've had conversations about, hey, You've made your money. It's about legacy, right? It's about legacy. And that's before the Green Bay game. We had this conversation early throughout the year. Let me kind of tell what it as the season was going along, Dom. The best thing, what you just say, Dom. What you just say about that? You can win. What is it? What? Everything around him?
You need the other parts around him, mainly that offensive game plan that can really scheme it up where you're in a advantageous position. Like
Mm,
you can't be behind the eight ball with a guy like Dak. I'm not hating on him, but
mm,
like his physical giftedness, he's not a Matthew Stafford when we're talking about prime Stafford. He's
mm,
just simply not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not even a Lamar Jackson. We've come to those physical skills, but yet he's got enough of some of that stuff, but he's got all the other parts, the intangibles to come along with it, the leadership ability and the actual physicality still to be able to get it done. That's why even at his worst, some of those other teams out there would rather take that. Could you imagine a Dak Prescott in the San Francisco system? Because him right now with what he's able to do and drop him into that, what that can
mm,
mean for that San Francisco team, like,
mm,
come on. So that's the kind of thing he needs. Where a guy like Brock Purdy, who's definitely limited in his ability, but yet you got a scheme that protects him from all of his deficiencies or even protects him from himself, where he's in
mm,
safe spots where he can go out and do his thing and let all the other weapons around him, because he's got great weapons, do what they do. So it's not a knock to say he needs a coach to protect him from himself. It's really not a knock to say that physically he doesn't have that elite ability that some others have. It's just a reality. So if
right.
Dallas really wants to get over that hurdle, give him a good offensive scheme. And still, he needs weapons.
But again, Dex made the money.
You already made it.
And more so than ever, it's about legacy. This extension will tell me a lot about what legacy means to Dak. Fair or unfair, however anybody wants to view that. For me personally,
I'm with you.
this extension that's coming will tell me a lot about Dak Prescott at the end of the day. How much are you going to leave out there for the team and do everything, and how much you're going to take for yourself? So I'm very intrigued. And again, I agree. Hey, even if he goes to the top tier, you're still going to save a ton of money against the cap to get things done like CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, different
Right.
things.
Right.
But how much more can you allow them so they can be flexible enough to actually go make some moves in free agency?
It's it's
Well,
it's
oh, go ahead.
it's the structure. It's the structure of that
Right,
contract too.
sure, sure,
Like, are
right.
you gonna finally allow them to lock you into a contract that is 4 or 5 years over? Like, none of this really short deal so you can now re up at another point. Like, are you gonna give Steven what he really needs by giving him a long, lengthy contract so that they can
Mm,
manipulate the cap space and move it
right.
around? You're not saying, and I'm going to speak it because I know some people don't really have that comprehension to really understand what you're saying. You're not
Mm,
saying for him to go leave 20 million per year on the table
oh, no.
and take some
No.
30 million a
Yeah,
year
yeah, yeah, yeah.
deal.
No, no, no.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody even saying that he should take 40 million a year. That's
Mm,
what the Daniel Jones is, and that tier of quarterback is
mm,
being paid, which is still a good amount. No, we're saying you still gonna get the fair market price. You're still gonna be up
mm,
there where you're near that market setting deal. But it's really about
mm,
the structure of it all, the guarantee that he's gonna want, the signing bonus. How can you allow Steven to be able to get you into a deal where you still feel comfortable and make yours, but still let it be team friendly enough for them to be able to go get the players that you need around you,
right.
because you so desperately need those players to be successful.
Big facts. Big facts. So we'll watch the we'll keep tabs. We'll watch how the Dak Prescott things unfolds. All right, let's pivot. Let me stretch out here real quick. Let's pivot. I'm going right to Mike McCarthy here.
Mm.
That's the quarterback. I'm going to Mike McCarthy here. I should say. We're going to Mike McCarthy here. Um, hmm, let me choose some words here, Dom. For those that are long-term purveyors of the channel or follow me on Twitter, y'all know I've been a very big proponent of Mike McCarthy from the outset. Very big. I pounded the table. Like, yes, this is the guy. With with new information though, it should change your prospect, your idea, your thought process. With new information, you have to be available. You can't die on certain hills. You can't die on certain hills. And I banged the table on this hill up until the Green Bay game. Not good. Not good.
Not at
Not
all.
effing good.
Nothing about it.
There's there's no reason that 2 out of 3 years you're the home team, the only home team to lose.
Historic.
Two out 2 out of the 3 years I can't hear. I'll buy. Look, well, I did buy. Never mind. I can't say I will buy. I did buy. Hey, nervousness, whatever. You're not the play caller. I can't buy that now. I can't buy that whenever you've been here even 2 more years removed from that season, and you're the play caller, McCarthy. No, that see to me all of a sudden. Shout out to what's the Oklahoma State's coach? What's his name?
Gundy, Mike Gundy.
I'm a man. I'm 45. I know he's 40 at the time. I'm 45. I'm a man. Like, 2 years ago, I was buying. You were changing culture. You ain't been here that long. There was the boy wonder there. Then we fast forward to this and this performance, and you kind of tongue in cheek the same thing whenever you're the guy. Oh, brother, that's a problem. To me, that's a red flag. I wish I had a red. You got a red flag. Oh, yeah, you be bringing the problems.
I
you gotta
got
look. Hold on.
Rotten
Okay,
Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten
I,
Tomatoes.
I got a candle here. Red as I can get. Red as I can get right
Tomato
there. That's
can.
what I got. Yeah, put that tomato in this can. Man, that's just bad. And ultimately, Tom, when I heard about it, I thought about it for a second, and I saved it for here. I didn't mention this on the space.
Mm.
I'll ask the chat here, and I'm gonna ask you as well. And I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Forgive me. I am putting you on the spot.
It's all good.
I'm 45, Dom. If you want to divulge your age real quick,
37 going on 38
Yep,
next month.
okay. And you follow the game like I do. Have you ever, just one time, just one time, and shouts to the Fugees. One time, have you ever heard a post game press conference from a head coach that came out and said the team was nervous and wasn't ready? Ever? Can you think of one?
No.
I can't either. And that was my problem the first time, but I'm like, hey man, there was different things. The landscape's different. You're dealing with Kellen Moore. You know what I mean? I get it. You're not the guy offensively. To me, this is egregious. To say it 2 times and 2 years later to say it again, and you're the man. That sounds like super deflect to me, Dom.
Whew. It's not good for Mike. It's not good for Big
No.
Mike at all. Um, because really, at this point, as a fan, I start to ask myself, why are you keeping Mike? What is his role and responsibility on this team as the head coach? Knowing that he really doesn't have to do a lick on the defensive side because he's got Dan Quinn running that thing, former head coach, made it to the Super Bowl, lost that Super Bowl in stunning historical fashion. But still, you've been able to have him bring that defense from a historical worst to one of the better defenses in their history. So you're not stressing on that side and what's going on over there, though. As a manager, which is what a head coach does, you do have to know what's happening, but you're not forced to exert anything extra above what any other coach would. Instead, you can kind of rest and relax a little bit. So, what exactly is Mike McCarthy supposed to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
So, next, I kind of want to flip the script on this, just a little.
Okay. All right.
And people in the chat, we got a number of you
What's up,
following
man?
us right now. I got a hypothetical for all of you, and I want you to answer
Okay.
this question. Let's say Mike McCarthy has never been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, but yet you can still, knowing about him and his offensive scheming and his abilities as a coach, knowing that he's got that Super Bowl on his resume. But let's say he's available, and you guys, the listeners, you're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones hired you. He's actually given you even some input on, the draft. Who you're going to bring in, guys, free agents, because that's what Jerry and Steve and them do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole group. So
Trinity.
you got a lot of power as the head coach. You got influence on the players you want. You got all the
Mm-hmm.
influence on who you want to hire. So here's the hypothetical next.
Mm-hmm.
You need an offensive coordinator. You need a defensive coordinator. Chat, y'all need an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy is out there with the current people that you see available. I ain't talking about go get your wish and just poach like Bobby Slowick from Houston Texans right now. He's already their offensive coordinator. He's not going to take a lateral move. But you got these offensive minded people that are out there. Next,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you know about Big Mike and it's hypothetical. You're the coach. You handle all of the management, all of the operations throughout the week. You scheduling everything for the players and the staff. You're juggling the duties of public relations. You're managing the vast personalities. You got your aloof people. You got your dogs. You got your guys who might go out and do something. So you got to, put a little chain on them to kind of reel them in. You got all these personalities. You're juggling all of that, but you're giving it up for your coordinators to really man both sides. Would a Mike McCarthy be one of your top candidates to bring in to interview? But before you answer that, chat, would Mike McCarthy be one of your top offensive coordinator candidates to come in for your head coaching job, knowing what you know about him and his system? Because currently, when I ask you that question of why keep Mike,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is his responsibility right now, really? You pointed at the screen and said, it's on you. This is your offense. Kellen ain't here. This is yours. So why keep him? Would you hire Mike McCarthy to be your offensive coordinator right now for the Dallas Cowboys? Because I think if that answer is a resounding no, then why would Jerry and Steven and the Brain Trust let him have this final year on his contract, which is kind of like a lame duck situation, which, is never a good situation. Like, I don't like, do you really let him roll on? Then on the opposite side of that, what are the good things about Big Mike? Why would you want to keep Big Mike? What good things do you see in place? Obviously, the players like the way he does the operations stuff, handling the personalities, let them spend time with the families, bringing the families in the building. Jane Slater listed the whole thing on her Twitter. There's definitely a likability there. He's a player's coach in that sense, giving them rest days, knowing that it's wisely. Why would you make a Tyron Smith practice real hard? Like, give him that rest. Do the NBA thing. Cool, we got it. brought in an analytics department. Seemed like he actually did some things and listened to that department this year. He's made a lot of good moves and done a lot of good things. But what you
here's my thing. I mean, in that avenue, um,
why are you keeping him?
no, hold on. In that avenue, it's a no. In that avenue, absolutely for me, it would be, oh, you just hired me. I'm being a quote unquote walk around coach, right? No, no, I'm never getting my McCarthy in. Not what I'm doing. Not what I'm doing. Um, but I think the yes, you're not wrong, Dom. Right? You're not wrong with that spectrum. But I think it's different in this realm, though. Here's the reason why I'm saying it's different within that realm is because he just got play calling duties. He was a head coach, and he was the head coach for three, wait, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 years before being that. So that puts us up against a rock, if you will. Well, just get a different OC, just let him be the guy. I don't think you can do that. Therein lies the issue. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that, you know, I get where you're coming from the outside looking in because if it's a no, what you're saying is you got to move on. I think it's a little bit more intricate than that, a little bit, just because your quarterback just did what he did underneath Mike McCarthy. Possibly his best year ever, right? Second team All Pro, the league touchdown passes, the interceptions, everything, running game, whatever. Maybe not the greatest, but that's what he did this year. But we got to the playoffs. Hey, yo, what we know about you in Dan Prescott in the playoffs,
Mhm.
only thing we can judge. Because before this new info was, you got to get over San Francisco. But you play anybody else, you're fine. Well, that wasn't San Francisco. And now you're 1-3 is what you are with the McCarthy, Dak Prescott. Now, granted, just 0-1 with McCarthy as a play caller, right? But however, McCarthy in here, 1-3 now, two-time division winner, and also two-time wild card exit. Nobody else lost at home except us. And also, for shits and giggles, in the new format, first team ever to lose to a seventh rounder, seventh seed, I should say. That's where it's at, which takes it to the next step of McCarthy has 1 year left on his deal. Yeah, lame duck coaches work out how. I mean, you just went through that with Garrett, anyways. With Garrett going back and trying to get the play calling back, whatever the case may be, didn't play out well. Didn't play never to make sure he ended up 8-8 his last season. So I want to repivot the question this way because let me ask you this, Tom. Do you want McCarthy back on a 1 year deal? Are you doing McCarthy on a 1 year deal? Dak extension done. McCarthy 1 year.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
We've
So
seen.
to me, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, like we've seen it. Like it, take our fandom out of it, and even those who are the most optimistic of fans, and you're all for the Cowboys, and you consider yourself a real fan. When you've seen things go the way that they're going for Dallas, you would really say moving on from Kellen is a move of desperation. That's a last ditch effort for you to try to hold the reins, keep the reins in your hands because you know that things are starting to slip. We've seen that over the history of the league. When you see coordinators start to get fired like that, well, that's
Hmm.
like your last ditch effort.
Hmm.
So then you give them that one more year. Things normally don't go well. Even if you have an okay season where, let's say, Dallas go out next year and have another 11, 12 year season, ultimately you got to get not just into the playoffs, not into the wild card round, not into the divisional round. I don't even think you can even just get to the NFC championship at this point. It's like Super Bowl appearance or bust. And so it just hasn't happened. So nah, No, I don't want him here just for a year.
Right. Which brings me back to the point of, for me, it's either an extension for McCarthy or he got to go. I'm not here on a 1 year deal. Me personally, in my landscape and what I look at, no. I look if they come out, well, McCarthy's going to be here next year, but we're going to just watch and wait and see how it goes. Man, I'm out. Like it'll be a completely different Knicks throughout next season. I promise you. Oh, because I've seen it. I know how 1 year coaches, as soon as it gets a little left with 1 year coaches, it's literally on a 1 year on a, and of course it's called lame duck, right? It's called lame duck deal, lame duck coach, if you will.
It's psychology 101.
Right.
Like,
There's no reason for it
hmm,
because it goes left, then it's going to tank really bad. So to me, if you bring him back on the 1 year deal, we're not going to extend him or anything else. We're just going to have a new defensive coordinator. We'll get to Dan Quinn and defense here in just a second after we wrap up with McCarthy. Um, Yeah, man. You're waiting for like week 8, 9 for this to go left. Okay, we move on. Great. You're wasting a year for me, Dom. You're
yeah.
wasting a year. If you keep him on a 1 year deal, to me, ultimately, it's going to be wasting a deal or wasting a year, I should say. So it's either extend McCarthy, come out. Hey, he's our guy. We believe in it. Yeah, this sucks. Hold on, but we're going to build this offense. It's going on. We invest and extend him, give him a 3 year extension, or man, you rip the band-aid off and we can have the conversation after that. That's where I land. The 1 year deal for me is out of there. And there's no way, let me be very clear on this. There's no way he just got play calling back this season that the trade off is going to be, all right, well, you get the extension, but we're bringing a new play caller. That's not going to happen at
Mm,
all.
no.
At all. So, Dom, for you and for the chat, do you want to extend McCarthy or bring in somebody else? Because there's a different temperament that brings with that. Where do you land, Dom, right now, 48 hours later? Is it extend McCarthy or bring in a new coach?
Next, I love my continuity. I'm a
Mm,
super loyal guy.
mm,
But my hypothetical that I put you guys through, I would not hire him as an offensive mind. That's your main role.
right.
And then the other part of your job of you managing things, you
Mm,
haven't really done that well within the game.
mm,
Throughout the week, sure, maybe. In the game, clock management is terrible. You don't go over to your defensive coordinator and say, hey, stop with the soft coverage, stop with the dime packages against 12 man or 12 personnel. You don't force him to do something. You just let him die on the vine while you're also
mm,
dying on the vine and can't adapt. So, no, uh, what I want to see happen is you got to go and then bring in some of these guys that, like the ones on the screen. My number one option would be the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans right now, who comes from that Shanahan tree.
yeah.
Wants a
Bobby Slowick.
quality, yeah, slow it. Wants a quality control guy uh, on the defensive side of the ball, where Kyle forced him to do that so he could learn the defensive side of the game. So then that could be helpful for whenever he's scheming up things on the offensive side. So he's showing to be a good guy who definitely understands that system. You see what he's doing with a young quarterback now who only threw 5 interceptions. That's him helping protect the young man from himself. But then you also see the imagination, the creativity, the innovation that comes along with that scheme. And now you're able to pluck a guy from that tree, a tree that you're now 0-6 against
Mm,
if you're Mike McCarthy. So I'm all for it. Let him go out, get somebody like a Slowick. I want an offensive minded coach. And the main reason I say that is offensive minded, like coordinators and stuff, they get poached quick. just as you starting to see their value and you're enjoying them as an organization, they're the ones getting the head coaching jobs. The
Mm.
defensive minded guys, they get jobs, but they're often the ones who teams quickly move on from, and then they go and get a DC job, and then they do great, and then it's like rinse and repeat. Do you give them a second or even a third opportunity? That's what's happening to a Dan Quinn right now. So yeah, give me offensive minded coach, younger guy, not just because young is what it is, but they're starting to know how to attack some of the older schemes that we've seen in the
Mm.
league. It just happens. You have to continuously improve, continuously grow. And I don't know if people from that era have been able to keep up with some of the ways that these other coaches are starting to attack them.
Yeah, I mean, hate to be a bearer of bad news. Not going to happen.
It ain't gonna
And
happen.
and look. Whether we're talking about Ben Johnson up there from Detroit,
Detroit.
Slowick down there from Houston. No, that train's left the building with Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. And honestly, I'll say this. Honestly,
Garrett was that.
it's true. The Cowboys, right? We talk about certain things. You can win 12 games in the season. I can go back to Lamb getting shoved in the back and nobody cared. I can go back to Biotis getting put on the ground. Nobody cared. We talk about discipline, D-Law jumping off sides. What are the Cowboys missing? Like, what are they missing?
Fear.
Look, fear, okay. Mental fortitude, arriving to the occasion because what the coach said right now, 2 out of 3 years in the playoffs, nervousness, and basically just said they were scary. That's what he said. A boombox came out, whatever. I don't know. So yeah, I don't think, and I think part of this is tied to Jerry Jones being 80 plus now. Bringing in a young offensive mind, obviously geography lottery wise around the league matters, and that should be the wave. We see that work. Excuse me. We see that working time and time again to a certain extent. But you have to be a younger team. You know the Cowboys are a young team. Hey, I'm getting this young mind, and I'm getting a young quarterback tied with it. Dak's already here. He's getting extended. That young dude ain't gonna come in here and do that, right? So that doesn't work for the Cowboys, which means to me, and I just kind of scan the land, I just look at it. I'm like, okay, here's Mike McCarthy, whatever, everything we've seen. I'm just adding up the three short, which is crazy. Like we are to a certain extent here. We are very entitled, Cowboys Nation. Let me be very clear.
Mm.
We are very entitled, Cowboys Nation. 28 years, no NFC Championship game. I get it. I get it. We know what the bar is. However, however, you have not been, Cowboys fans, to the playoffs 3 straight years and won 2 out of 3 NFC Championship games, or excuse me, division titles since the '90s. We are ready. We are right here, right now, saying it's not good enough. Yeah, for over 20 years, for over 20 years, we ain't been 12 plus win. Forget 12 plus. That's kind of cheating. We ain't had 10 plus wins in 3 straight years in over 20 years. And we are here outside our mind, ready to blow it up. So I just want to be clear. We're entitled. Myself included. I'm not saying y'all. I'm saying we're a family here. We are entitled. This ain't good enough. And that's okay. I like that we have this even 3 decades, 30 years later. Like, no, if it ain't here, It ain't good enough. No matter, this is the best 3 year stretch we've seen in 25 plus years. It's not good enough. I love that. I love that fact about us in Cowboys land. I'm good with that. However, a Johnson Slowick coming in here to me, Dom, doesn't change what's at hand. With the second year team with a lot of playoff experience, I think you got to tie those guys to a young quarterback, a team that's look. This is what um, Carolina should did last year. Appreciate Frank Reich and what he is. No, no, no. Yeah, should have went on with these young minds and got Bryce Young. That's what should. Well, he should have drafted C.J. Stroud. I mean, Don, me and you, we tried to tell everybody last time. See, during the draft process, we're like, me and Dom was like, C.J. Stroud's number one. They don't want to listen to us, Dom. They don't want to listen to us.
Whatever.
But here we are
Here
now.
it is.
But they should have tied a young mind to him. Hence why Frank Wright doesn't make it through the first season. They're going back to it. To me, that's where the Ben Johnsons of the world, stuff like that, that's what you do. The Cowboys and where they are right now, currently, though, there's two names, man. Look, I'll give two, in my opinion, and the third one that I hear a lot. And
Resume.
look, here it comes. Here it comes. Say it again, Dom.
It's all about the resume.
Bill Belichick, I get it. I get it.
Go.
I get it. Hey, look, we know Jerry loves him. We know Jerry loves. We get it. Mr. Jim Harbaugh, which by the way, Jim Harbaugh is very Jimmy Johnson esque. Never spent too much time anywhere. Had great success wherever he went. Dial it up, is what it is. The one I hear from a lot of Cowboys Nation is Mike Vrabel. Personally, I'm good on Mike Vrabel. Personally, I understand the talk and everything. I'm good. For me, if you're moving on, look, it's Harbaugh's the key. I guess I'll live with Bill Belichick to go. I guess.
Wait,
But
hold on,
ultimately,
hold
though,
on. There's one that's come out of the woodwork, come out of left field. Do you give up a second, third round pick to go get Mike Tomlin?
Well, Tomlin said he's going back. Only reason I bring up Mike Tomlin because he said he's going back to coach. He said he's showing back up. He's coaching them. I don't think they'll move him. So he's 10 toes down. So I don't. That's why I didn't bring up Mike Tomlin.
It ain't Pittsburgh
Obviously,
like to move in.
right? Exactly. That's what I'm like. As soon as he like the report came out, hey, I'm coming back. He told the players I'm coming back. I'm okay. Tomlin's off the board. He's there. It is what it is. And I'm willing to bet they're going to go get. I'm willing to bet they're going to go get him an extension. And see, we got to stop this right here, Wilson. I don't think he'll tolerate it. They said the same thing about Bill Parcells. And Parcells showed up and told everybody that would listen back then, no social media back then, the way it is now, said there's only one job in the NFL that matters. It's the creme de la creme. It's here. It is what it is. So, yeah, that's neither here
The
nor there.
grocery in that groceries comment that everybody like to bring up,
Mm.
shopping, they want you to cook, but won't let you shop for the groceries. That
Right, right,
wasn't
right, right.
Dallas. He didn't say that about Jerry Jones
Mm-mm.
necessarily. That was about,
Mm-mm.
his former job. So we know that they operate different. They actually allow the head coach to make decisions, personnel decisions. In fact, Mike McCarthy is the one that screams that as much as he could about during the draft process, where it's like it took him out of his comfort zone of what he was familiar with, because in Green Bay he didn't have that luxury. So now he's able to
Mm.
give his input on the roster construction. So
Right.
yeah, the meddling from Jerry is not what people seem. Look at the all of the leeway and all the time he allowed for Jason Garrett to do his thing. Like he don't meddle like people think.
10-4. Real quick here. If the Cowboys are moving on from McCarthy, should the decision be made sooner rather than later? Yes and no. I think right now what we're in a holding pattern because, and this is a great segue to the Dan Quinn thing.
Yep.
Uh, Dan Quinn's not coming back. I think that's pretty air apparent what happened down the stretch in the game. But in true Cowboys land, we're going to a good soldier came in. Look, and absolutely, I'm taking nothing away from Dan Quinn and what and how he turned this defense around. Period, point blank. I'm not here to ban that whatsoever. We can, go up and down about what he did down the stretch, Buffalo here. However, the Cowboys understand that as well too. I personally believe that they're going to be mum until Dan Quinn takes a head coaching job. That's where I land, and then we'll see things kind of move very quickly once Dan Quinn makes a move. That's where I land at, Dom. What about you?
Yeah, to me, I think the other thing is everybody is in kind of a holding situation where, yeah, you got some of these franchises from maybe call them smaller market. I won't be
Mm,
so disrespectful to say, you know, other things, uh, poverty franchises or whatever. But from the smaller markets who maybe not have the fan base and all the hoopla around it, these coaches who are out there, they know that, man, the 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 trimming process may not be over. There might be other
mm,
jobs that might open, like the Dallas Cowboys. So that we're kind of like in a holding situation. So really, you haven't had that big domino fall yet. Whenever that happens, then people start to scary decisions have to be made because you want that opportunity to be able to jump into that party. So let's say tomorrow Atlanta decides we're going to hire Bill Belichick, and Belichick is all set, and that's the team he really wants because they're young. They got 34 million in cap space. They got all
mm.
these picks. They got a nice core group of players. Then I think you'll start to go, oh, people start to pucker up a little bit and then decide, man, we got to get this thing going. Even that could cause some pressure on the Cowboys to make a decision on Mike McCarthy. So you got to wait for the big domino. But teams out there and also these coaches who are the hot names, they're also looking at the playing field to see what is their best opportunity. So you don't have to rush.
It's in for him. But which will pivot? Dan Quinn for you, right? It's a wrap, right? Like he's not going to be here. Or do you think there's an opportunity for him to be back? Salute.
And
Appreciate you,
Quinn,
Dom.
we trusted,
Mm,
and
that part.
now
Trusted with the ED.
and then in Quinn we have rested. It was
Oh,
thought it was gold, was made of iron, and
mm,
the elements have weathered that thing down. So at this point, I just don't see how him and Mike can stay together. Again, if they decide to keep Mike, this could also be that situation where you got to lob off another coordinator
right,
to
right.
now say, well, even if the offense was clicking and firing on all cylinders, hey, they even made this weird little push at the end where Green Bay took out the starting quarterback, but then had to reinsert him because you started to come back a little bit. But the
Mm,
defense just couldn't stop them. So no matter how good the offensive side seemed to have performed, you couldn't just stop the bleeding. So yeah, oof. and
right.
it's and the defense is the reason why you can't get over the San Francisco hump. The defense is the reason why you were really in a position to have lost the number one seed. You can't even beat Arizona. So yeah, it's time. It's time. And this ain't me bashing Dan Quinn because he's obviously a great coach. Um,
Mm.
and I can't say completely that I'm just 100% like, bah, but just the way to like read the room, there's no way. I cannot see a situation in which he's able to stay.
Yeah, I mean, look, and kind of his time, like you go back to Atlanta, how they articulated, got to the Super Bowl and everything, and then it kind of went down. Like he hits and he'll hit hard, and it's going to be changed. It's going to be good, and then there's going to be just holes and things that happen, and it's just reset time. Hey, go get the coaching job, do your thing. And I will say, I kind of believe if they don't, even if they don't extend Mike McCarthy, he's going to be here in the last year of his deal, which I would absolutely hate. I think Witt leaves with Dan Quinn, and I think they're going to promote Al Harris to go to a 3-4 because ultimately, when you look at McCarthy and we have the pieces in general, McCarthy with Dom Capers, everything, traditional 3-4. I'm a 4-3 guy, but I look at the lay of the land, I see it. I'm like, boy, this would be easier going to a 3-4 than whenever Parcells came in here and went to the 3-4. It's much easier to get there with the pieces they have, which is why I'm talking about a Bill Belichick or I'm talking about a Mr. Jim Harbaugh or whatnot.
Right.
Um, but I think it's hard if they don't extend McCarthy. He's on a 1 year deal. Who wants to come in with your head coach on a lame duck deal, right? So, but Al Harris is here. You slide him in, and it probably works that way. It's kind of where I lay. But overarching, take all the coaching stuff out of the realm, Dom. Are you a buyer moving to the 3-4 defense? And this is this will be the last thing that we get into tonight, and we'll pivot up out of here. Are you a buyer into the 3-4 defense or status quo? Where do you land on that, Dom?
All right. So if I were a defensive coordinator,
Mm,
I really would want the 4-3 elements. That's just
mm,
naturally where I am. Just being an
mm,
offensive lineman and what I had to go up against and block, uh, the more you put in front of me, the more difficult it is, the more I'm having to think. So I really want a 4-3, but it makes a whole world of sense for Dallas to be able to move to a 3-4 principles, knowing that they're not going to stay in that package for most of the snaps. But it makes some sense. Where Parcells moved him from a 4-3 to a 3-4 took a lot of roster reconstruction. Him bringing in his guys, bringing in older players that he was trying to squeeze that last drop out of. And then when he left, and then it was time to shift back to a 4-3 elements, it took a great deal for Dallas to have to do that because Bill kind of left that cupboard dry or empty. Um, you had to go and get a lot of new goods. But this time around, if you're trying to move to a 3-4, it make a lot of sense because you got a lot of it in the cupboard for Dallas to be able to make it work. I actually think Sam Williams would benefit probably more than anybody on the team when it comes to making that move because I can see him playing on that strong side where you're able to use his giftedness and just his size to be able to attack by standing up on the edge. Then I think your young guy that, yeah, he's unproven from a regular season standpoint because he had his injury, but what we saw out of DeMarvion Overshone in practices was that he was getting it. Like one of the concerns for him coming out of college is Texas had him playing all over. He didn't really have one main position. So where were you really going to play him? He seemed to be a tweener. But for him,
mm.
he seemed to have that mentality that you need for a guy to be able to play the linebacker spot. He was doing great. So some things where I thought was he did he really have the instincts? I don't think this guy got instincts. You're able to see it come like into effect when he's right there with the Cowboys. So I think he could play one of those interior spots where the one that mostly does the coverage and dropping, and then just being a good run defender. Micah can play in any system, and I think he probably prefers to stand up, so you can make him the other outside linebacker playing that jack position, and then Damone Clark or draft pick or some other vet to come in and challenge him. I think you have the linebackers to be able to do it. Even on the defensive line, you need a nose. You need a nose. So nose tackles really aren't that hard to find. You
Al-
already need a one
Although,
tech right now.
if you brought in a Harbaugh, I'm just saying, Mozzie was the number one tech. No, they played the one tech for Harbaugh already. We ain't got to worry about this full Fugazi three tech. We're trying to move you around. Hey, go get this peanut butter. Go get this pasta. Go get the spaghetti. You feel me? You can go draft a guy like Split out of Texas if you want to,
Get
but
your
Harbaugh
frog.
knows how to. But Harbaugh knows how to have Mozzie as that guy in the middle.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just saying Harbaugh. I'm just throwing Harbaugh out there. I ain't saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying
Go back to your
neither
old
here nor there.
frog stance. Go
You
back to
know,
that old weird stance that you did in college. Get back to the 323 pounds that you were in college. You don't have to think. Just play the nose.
that way.
Don't mess around. We ain't
Hey,
asking you to
you
do a
know.
whole bunch. So yeah, I think they actually have the personnel to be able to do it. And then because of the free agents that they have on the team that are about to hit
Mm,
the market, it's like the right pieces to go where you're going to have to restock that thing anyway because you're losing Fowler, you're losing Dorrance Armstrong, uh,
mm,
you're losing Gallimore, who would not have fit in a 3-4 system. I don't know if he felt like he did great in the system they're in now. So you got the
natural
ability,
disasters. I know, James.
yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
got the ability to definitely shift. And then for your DBs, I mean, you're set. You're already
Right.
set. You're doing great there.
All right. Well, real quick, 4 hours ago, I threw it out here. Is Mike McCarthy the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? X's? I threw it out there on Twitter/X. With 1,200 votes, with 19 or almost 20 hours left to go, we're currently at 59% no and 41% yes. That's where our Cowboysation is right now, about 1,200 votes in. 59 no, 41 yes. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it rolls and everything else. Um, I mean,
So,
first and foremost, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I know your gut is telling you, your mind is telling you
mm
he's coming back.
mm.
Mine too. But what's in your heart next? What
Oh,
do
if
you?
you say if you're telling me, hey, Knicks fix the Cowboys, you're saying Knicks, how do you get over the hump? Is that what you're asking me? That?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Mike McCarthy's gone, and I'm bringing in by hook or by crook. I'm doing whatever to bring in John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh. Excuse me. That's what I would do. That's just where the Cowboys are, in my opinion, and what they need. Like if you're asking me, how did the Cowboys get over the hump? Don't just spend the Bill Parcells, Lord, Bill Belichick. If you're saying, hey, how do we get over the hump? I'm like, McCarthy, we appreciate you. You got us to this point. No problems. Man, I'm moving on. I'm bringing in Harbaugh. I'm going to the 3-4. We're getting after it, and we move forward. That's to me. I think that's the over the moon arc. Again, no matter where he's been, tell me where he felt. San Diego State, good. Stanford, good. Niners, good. Michigan, good. Like he's not failed as a coach anywhere. He's the tweener, right? He's not the super old Bill Belichick. He's not the super young anywhere else. You know what I mean? He's the tweener. And no matter where he goes, success follows. Now, I do understand he probably won't be here long. That's not in his DNA. We've seen that already. But can I get him here long enough? Because we think Dak Prescott's career is what? 5 more years?
Three, three to
You think
four,
three? Three to
three to
four. Okay.
four.
Let me
Before
get
you
the
like,
best.
you're gonna get 3 to 4 before you then
Mhm.
have to make a decision because I think
Right.
way that they're gonna make this contract out, they're gonna have an out probably at year 3 or 4. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
5 year
That's
extension.
what
Yeah, 5 year extension with a little bit out. So let me get the best for that term. And as soon as Dak walks, he can walk. And then we start over. And hopefully you get a Super Bowl or two within that time frame. And then yes, you got to go down to the bottom and figure it out and build back up. But I'm looking to capitalize on what we have right now. And look, I'm not completely out. I know there's some, it's really weird with Bill Belichick. I'm not completely out on that. I know it's a little weird on that. And ultimately, look, I don't think the Cowboys are getting Harbaugh. Let me be very clear. This is just asking me what I would do and how I would move forward. I don't think they're going to get Harbaugh. I think what we're looking at is And I'm okay. Be clear here. If they extend McCarthy, I'm okay there. I got to worry about the defensive coordinator what they bring in here. I don't want McCarthy on a 1 year deal though. Lame duck doesn't work. It has to be an extension for McCarthy, and let's figure out the defensive coordinator. That's where I land. It has to be an extension. If you're not extending McCarthy, this is a wash. And I'm telling y'all right here, right now, on 8:57 Texas time, January 16th. If we get the announcement McCarthy's going to coach out the last year of his deal, I will be unbearable, Dom. I am going to be very unbearable. I am not going to be happy. I am going to be very, very agitated the entire time. We'll get to our draft content, everything else. I don't like it. I don't think it works anywhere. Somebody let me know when a lame duck contract for a coach has worked. I don't like it. I am not going to be a fan of it. I won't. And I'm a McCarthy guy. I'm not going to twist it. You either got to go get me McCarthy on an extension, or realistically, bring me Bill Belichick with a Mike Vrabel in waiting, because I can't have Bill Belichick without somebody as an incumbent. That's where I land, because I think Bill Belichick is in play for people. Bill Belichick to me is actually really in play for the Cowboys. I do believe that. I've heard enough about it. I do believe that. But if it is him, there has to be an incumbent. That's just where I land, man.
Hey, and I want to again. I want to flesh out what I think you're saying. I want to flesh out what I think you're saying.
Mm.
Just fake it. You got all the money in the world. You're a billionaire family. You got all the money in the world. Here's the thing. Give him that. All right. We both really want a new coach. We say we want a new coach. That's it. But
Mm.
if he stays, give him the
Mm.
extension.
Mm.
Give the false sense of you're good, because you don't want him playing really under that pressure or coaching under that pressure with only that 1 year remaining, knowing that if anything goes wrong, now you're grasping and doing things that are way outside of who you really are, because then that thing's really going to get off track. So just go ahead, give him that extension. You ain't gonna have to pay him a whole lot more money anyway, far as upping him per year, millions per year. Because
Right.
who else is out there looking for getting a OC or a head coach in him? So yeah, man, go on and here's this money.
Hey,
Do it.
hold on. Vosh said we need a new run game coordinator. Everybody has a backup plan but us. Man, we ain't got no backup plan in real time, man.
Yeah, we ain't got
Man, Jesus, Hey, man, as soon as we get smacked, it's a wrap.
it's done. Like I said, you 3-4 years ago, you called it a counterpunch.
Ah,
We ain't got no counter
ah.
punches.
Man, and that was my big thing with Kellen Moore. In his last year, he kind of found a counter. The little all of a sudden he would go really quick. He would go really quick. It's like, oh, he kind of found a little counter punch. Man, I don't know, man. Look. I'll be honest with you.
It's like
I need
these.
to be like, hey,
It's
look, I need to be like Aaron Rodgers. I need to go the all. What do you go to the all darkness retreat for like 5 days or whatever.
I don't
Like
remember
I
them
don't
now.
know. I'm watching the 12-5 season that happened, and then I'll watch what happened Sunday. I don't know. I need to go somewhere. I might. I might. Maybe I need. Look, I don't know what shrooms do. I don't know. Maybe I need to help Aaron Rodgers. Hey, I need some medicinal, and let me go to a black hole for 5 days retreat and figure out what the hell it is I'm looking at. I don't know. The only thing that I can confidently tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, that I do know is if they bring back Mike McCarthy on the 1 year deal without extending him, man,
It's over.
next year is a fucking wrap. Excuse my language, Twitter, whatever, YouTube. Sorry. Man, I am not going to be happy the entire time. I'll be grumpy. Hold on. Wait, is it here? Oh, it is here. Hold on. let me just break out Hoodie Knicks right now. If Mike McCarthy is back on a 1 year deal, I'm telling you now, if McCarthy's back on a 1 year deal, I am. Oh my god! I mean, look, I need to go to some Pepto Bismol. I already feel my indigestion, man. I
Next.
already feel indigestion, dog.
As 24/7, 365 draft guy, I'm gonna be Team Tank. And all the people gonna say, you ain't a
Dang.
real fan. You ain't a real fan. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna tout Team Tank. I'm just letting y'all know now. But if he come back on that, final year of his deal and nothing else is really happening,
Mm,
he's get this new D coordinator, throw an old poor Al Harris up there. Uh,
mm.
in my mind, maybe even in my heart, I'm gonna be like, Tank, I need this teens pick. Because again, I don't think a Dak
I feel you.
Prescott is gonna, get you no less than 9 wins. He ain't gonna be below that. So
Right.
that's gonna put us, you don't make it to the playoffs, 9-win team. That's about pick
Mm.
16 or so. I can do some things
I mean, I
with
mean, I mean, Down. We got
16.
pick 24. We can get Bo Nix. I just marked Bo Nix for the decaders. I just marked Bo Nix. What's the problem?
Shoot. I don't want no Bo Nix.
Hey, watch out! You talking about my third cousin.
Hey, I'm
Watch
wearing
out!
the
You talking
green
about
and
my third
gold,
cousin.
but I ain't no Bo. No.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, man, hey, look, we're locked in. We're seeing soon. If y'all followed us last offseason, you already know how we're gonna do the draft, man. We in the building on the draft. My guy Dom, Professor O, they're gonna be out the Senior Bowl. Can't wait for the content dropping on this side as well too. Shit, I'm about to figure some things out,
Hey,
get out there with y'all, and link up with y'all at the Senior Bowl, low
my
key.
yeah, we going next week. So
Yeah,
my no, not next week, week after.
no, no, yeah, yeah, 2 weeks,
I'm
yeah.
gonna try to put my Negrodamus hat on.
Oh, what you
My
got?
my
Oh,
super early prediction for the Dallas
oh,
Cowboys with the
give it to me.
24th overall pick of the
Okay,
2024 NFL draft.
okay.
Gonna be out of 3 guys.
Oh, well, hold on. That's hedging bets there, dog. That's hedging bets. But
I'm
it's
just
okay. Look, this hold on. January 16th. Hey, you get 3 options. January 16th, you get 3 options. In my opinion,
yeah. So
give me the three.
uh, it fits the positional value. I think it's going to fit best player available based on how I kind of project this thing out. This is going to be an
Mm,
offensive, like, first round of a draft. I don't even know if a defensive player is going to be taken in the top 10. You might get one who lands in the top 10. It's just that thick
mm,
on the offensive side of this draft. But I still think the tackle position is just studded with talent. It's draped with
mm,
talent. So I
mm,
think
mm.
you got 3 options. My first option is he's a right side guy, but I think he's got the athleticism to be able to be on the left side. Up at Oregon State, 6'6", 334 pounds, a beast, a mauler. You can even kick him on the inside. I ain't trying to do all that. Fuaga.
Mm.
That's number one.
Okay, number
Number
one.
two, the other guy that I think has the potential to be there, though he's very athletic himself, big guy too. He's also a right side guy, but I think he can also play to the left side because he's just as athletic too. Kid out of Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton.
Okay.
Then number three, dark horse, because I've been following him at the very beginning of the season. Before the season started, I told y'all in a simple tweet, here are 5
Mm,
guys I'm really going to watch this year.
mm,
He did good too, but he needs some molding. I don't know if he's
mm,
coming out firing, but I think he still can compete against Awesome Richards if he
mm,
is the answer next year. If Tyler or Tyron goes
mm,
ahead and
mm.
you know does his thing in retirement. Patrick Paul, Houston,
Mm.
7, 319 pounds, 35
Mm.
inch arms. He's kind of that freak body type where that once worked. with the guy that you flip from the right side over to the left side. But Patrick Paul has all the experience on the left side. So that's my dark horse. He's going to be that guy where y'all did Tyron Smith dirty or Tyler Smith
Mm.
dirty because you didn't know him like I knew him. So y'all were all upset on draft night. Y'all were drawn to
I
either silence or disgust. But I told y'all about that kid. He had first round traits whenever he played Ohio State that very first game. I told y'all. And as the season progressed, he got all these holding penalties while at Tulsa. But I told y'all. So don't be fooled this time around. Listen to your boy. Patrick Paul has a
what
shot to be able to make himself into a first round talent.
Dom, what you gave me was 3 tackles.
All tackles. You
What
know
you
what I'm
told me, hold on. What you really told me was Tyler Smith is a guard.
Oh yeah. You know, that's
Let's
over.
go.
It's over with. All
Let's
pro.
go. What we doing?
Why are you gonna move that?
That part.
You got the second
Now
coming of Zach Martin. Not to put the
on the
pressure on
left
him,
side. Yeah, this
but
on the left side.
you got
On the
your
left side.
mainstay at left guard now. Go figure that thing out at left tackle and use the strength of this draft to be able to help you. Dude, I literally have like 8 tackles that I think can be taken in the first 32 picks.
Mm.
Just
By
the
that
player
though.
you want. Four on the
But you
left, four on the right.
Dom, you already know that conversation's happening about Tyler being left tackle. We just know what we're in for. That's all I'm saying. But I'm with you. Look, I've already had the questions my way. I'm like, we know Zach Martin can play right tackle. He can play it well, but he's an all-world right guard.
Right.
It's the same thing with Tyler. He can play left tackle for you. He'll be okay out there. Man, he's an all-world left guard. Then we're good here. Put it to bed. Go find somebody to play left tackle.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
It's like Michael Jordan. Could Mike have played point guard? Well, with his mentality of wanting to score the ball, probably not. But I mean, physically,
I feel what you're saying.
athletically, ability wise, sure. Could he have been the 3?
Mm, mm,
Absolutely.
mm,
But where did he just ride it out at his best spot? The
mm.
2 guard. So why force it?
Whatever.
Why try to
Right.
make a guy something just because you think value wise, just a premium spot at
Yeah,
left
yeah,
tackle?
yeah, yeah,
Heck,
yeah.
if I'm a quarterback, I don't want that pressure right there in my face. And if I'm
Man,
now having to get a new guard or center because Tyler Biotish, yeah, I mean, I think he's out of there. And you might have to start out with Brock Hoffman if you can't find
mm.
somebody in a draft who can come and challenge him.
Uh,
You're
uh,
going to need that strength.
whispers. TJ Bassett said, "Just whisper, just whisper,
I
just
threw that
whispering,
out there.
just
And
whispering."
people don't realize Hoffman, he's got one more year left.
Right.
So don't think, oh yeah, we got this year. I think they're confusing him with Bass. No,
Right.
he's some young little cat. Like his time is already gone because he had the 3-year contract. So
Mm.
yeah, he's probably the center option to start out. You might want to try TJ Bass there, but I think he's your right guard to
Oh
replace
yeah, for sure.
Martin
I
another
look
year.
and look and for me, if Martin wants to stick around, I'm just finding a way if Bass can get on the field.
Yeah.
That's it. Ultimately, I'm with you. I think he's a right guard as well
I don't
too.
even want to talk about
Um,
best 5 stuff because it never works. It
no.
never
Yeah,
works
we ain't
out
doing that.
for us. Talk about it.
We ain't never doing that. Yeah, we're oh God. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hey, appreciate y'all coming in, chiming in with us. As we're kind of just 48 hours removed. State of the Cowboys, if you will. Shout out to X/Twitter. That hashtag sees everything with the star on the man. They dumped that quick. If you go hit that hashtag now, that star ain't there no more. They got rid of that quick. Sees everything is over. It's over. I can't wait for my shirts to show up here in a couple of days after the ice. I'm gonna take pics and post them. Do it to wear them for the division round. F my life. But hey, we're locked in. We're gonna stay tuned as it comes to the coaching changes and what happens here. Ultimately, what we're trying to say is Dan Quinn's decision. Once that happens, everything's going to move very quickly behind that, and we'll know very fast and very quickly. Once Dan Quinn picks his spot, everything's going to move very quickly. We'll be here to talk about it and get into it and see where it lands. And of course, no matter what, I mean, it's mock draft season, ladies and gentlemen. We in the building. We'll be here giving you all the content when it comes to the Jet, building the boards, giving our top 10, the whole nine. So salute to y'all and everybody that has rocked with us throughout the process. Appreciate y'all coming through tonight. Me and them a little impromptu, if you will. But we got time now. It might be a Monday, might be a Tuesday, might be a Wednesday, might be a Friday. We don't know. We got time now. So you got to hit the sub. You got to hit the notification bell. And we're going to work on not just live streams this off season. We're going to work on some shorts, some short clip videos, some different things. So we can ramp up the content for y'all this off season for sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, Dom, last word for you is before we get out of here. Hour and a half. Hey, we got even an hour and a half. Good job from us.
Yeah. You know, we are going to be up there at the Senior Bowl. I've already got 129 prospects on my Dallas Cowboys specific board, 80 on offense, 49 on the defense. So it's now going to be the refining process, and it's the perfect time that the Senior Bowl is going to be here. February 3rd is the game, but we'll be there for the live practices Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They have their rules about what you can put out there as far as content wise. So you won't see a lot of video from practices, but you'll hear our follow up and some of the interviews that we'll have with all the players and stuff. So it'll help us refine that board down to see who really we think Dallas should be going after, which is why those videos are going to be important, because a lot of those are going to be pre-recorded. Then we'll share it and then make sure we put it out in all the spaces and places that we are, so y'all know that it's available for you to go watch. Offensive line, that's going to be the key. And also the other side of the trench, defensive line. Looking forward for those one-on-ones, because I think this Senior Bowl is lit. And
Yes,
so
sir.
we're definitely going to make sure we follow and give you what you need, because Dallas often loves guys who go to the Senior Bowl. So we're excited. Me and Matto, we're going to be out there. We'll drop it. A couple of people from DallasCowboys.com. I know Aisha, I think they got her slated to be out there. So I'll have an opportunity to finally chop it up with her in person. And then some other folks that you guys will definitely see and know, they'll be there too. So we all support each other. Big family. Like Vach was in here earlier. We got a whole host of people. J Tuck, love his draft stuff. That boy cutting up already. But we ready. We ready. We've been ready. We stay ready.
Yeah. Blake Corum, 24. I'm out.
Woo.